Namaste, sweet dear pigeons out there. Welcome to your Monday flow. So today we are going to be doing a melting down in a good way. So not a meltdown, but melting down to be able to access a few more moments of meditation at the end. So we're going to allow ourselves to create through a series of simple movements a bridge to access that center. So this one is just a really nice kind of segment, either in the morning at the start of your day, or just any little moment throughout the day that you feel a little off center, aside yourself and not right in yourself, and we're going to allow ourselves to draw it back into that center. So each movement that we're going to be doing is going to be specifically a really nice deep sensation point. So we're going to be doing all of the really yummy ones and basically accessing all of the points of tension through the body, the main points. But we're going to keep it really nice and restorative, gentle and slow, coming down to the ground. So as always, take care in any positions that you're not sure about, and when in doubt, just take rest on the ground. Today we might be working with a few deep Chinese medicine points. So for those ones, I would say if you are dealing with anything specific, any specific injuries or anything you're dealing with, including pregnancy, I would avoid those ones because they can be quite powerful points within the body. Okay, so we're going to start off at the front of the mat. And this kind of 20 minutes-ish session is actually what I do myself in a day where I'm a little bit too much in my head or in that tunnel vision at the computer. So we're going to start standing. So that if you've been sitting all day, this is already a little bit of a relief. Feet nice and spread, and just spreading out the toes, feeling the arches of your feet kind of pull up through the centers if you can imagine it. Knees at hips distance apart as well, and just bring your arms to your sides nice and heavy, just shaking out so you feel the weight of your own arms. You're going to bring your breath up and through the crown, gently drawing your chin back towards your chest so you feel that length all the way through from the top of the shoulders to the crown. And then we're going to let all movement subside for a moment. Keep that slight activity across all four corners of each foot so you feel like you have roots through your feet. Maybe you actually feel the texture of your mat, you feel the ground, and it gives you that feeling of steadiness, stability. We're going to bring breath in and imagine it traveling all the way up through those arches of the feet, all the way up both legs. Filling the chest, rising up to the crown, and then drawing all the way out from the crown and back down the body through the torso, belly, hips, legs, and into the ground. And then again, bringing your breath in, all the way up through the arches of the feet, all the way to the crown, and then exhale, letting your breath draw out all the way, crown, through the body, to the ground. And then just settling the eyes closed, just take a couple more like that, imagining the breath's journey. Becoming more and more aware of each part of ourselves, breath traveling through the whole body, and emptying through the whole body. Let's take one more for luck. Big breath in, and big breath out. So allowing yourself to stand and just come into a more natural rhythm of breath. You're going to start to take your left hand up And flexing that left hand at the wrist, just take it across the chest. We're going to gather that in with your other arm and just take a little squeeze on the upper arm. Your head might dip slightly down here, just so you're excavating the space in the back of the shoulder blades. And that's our first kind of main point of tension we often build. The head is just dropping forwards, the neck is finding a bit of space without too much of a push. You might put a little rock here, a bit of comfort for the body, a bit of a swing. Just allow yourself 2 more nice deep natural breaths. As we take the next breath in, rise up. And exhale, let the arms melt down at your sides. We're going to take the other side, right hand up and across the chest, flexing the wrist so there's a bit of activity through the arm. Let's squeeze it above the elbow so we get that upper arm stretch. Bit of the back of the shoulder as we maybe bring the head slightly forwards, but not pushing the head down. It's just a bit of a drop of the weight of your head. And then again, we're moving into a really deep breath, but not pushy breath. Our breath happens on its own, and it's good to remind ourselves that that is a natural rhythm, your own unique tempo of breath. We might take one more. And exhale, release the arms to your sides, melting that down. Just take a moment to feel any little shift of energy across the outsides of the arms. So we're going to bring the arms up, overhead, feel the sides of your ribs lift. And exhale, we're going to bring your palms down and towards the chest. So your thumbs might land kind of on that breastbone. Inhale, shoulders wrap back and down to make sure that you're not scrunching your shoulders up if that is a habit of yours. Often a habit of mine. And just sensing your heartbeat for a moment at the thumbs. So we're really connecting to our pulse, our rhythm, in a couple of different ways. Breath, circulation, heartbeat. So when you're ready, we're going to interlace those fingers, open up the palms, and just bring the hands behind your head. So your thumbs might be down towards the neck, so that as we inhale and lift from your crown, we're widening the elbow tips, rising the eyes slightly, and kind of leaning back into the palms like you're sunbathing. And what we might feel here is the knitting together of your shoulder blades. Quite a nice drawing together behind the heart, and also a little stretch on the inner pectorals. Try and keep this broad, so even though we're leaning back, we're not crumpling the space there. We're keeping the elbow tips drawing apart, as well as bringing the shoulder blades together. Stand as tall as you can, put a little energy through the front body. And then we're going to exhale and do the opposite. So we're going to bring your elbow tips around shoulder distance apart and bring your chin gently towards your chest. We're not letting yourself pull the hands down. There's just a tiny bit of weight from your arms on the back of the head. And again, we're into a major kind of tension point for a lot of people here. Those spheno muscles, either side of the spine, that run all the way down. And here, without pushing, just notice how far you can sense those muscles extending either side of the spine. So they're right up against the spine. You might feel that even to the mid-back as we take another breath or two. Inhaling, start to lift your nose, bring your elbow tips nice and wide, and we're going to release your hands forward, still interlaced, so creating a nice round space in front of you. When you're ready, we're going to bring those hands towards us and invert the palms, and we're going to stretch again. You'll get your wrist stretching, you might feel it across the inner forearms as we lift those up. Exhaling, opening up the arms. So we're going to take those hands behind us. Let your hands sit at the elbows for a moment and just feel whether this is something that your body is ordinarily kind of okay with, or it understands, your body understands this position. The chest is slightly open, the shoulders are allowed to roll back slightly. So if you're scrunching here a little bit and it feels a bit tight around the chest, you might stay here trying to elongate and open the muscles of the pectorals and chest. If you're making that quite easily, we're going to take hands to interlace here and give your chest a little squeeze open. Again, we're into those shoulder blades, we're into the chest opening as we breathe in and we breathe out. We're going to bend the knees and feed your chest towards the thighs, lengthening your back. So this is a really nice deep pose for opening up the chest, feeling the sides of the ribs, dropping the head. Feel free to keep your knees bent. So you might be knees bent, hands to elbows, or you might be extending through the legs and interlacing the fingers, or somewhere in between. Take another 2 breaths. Keep lifting the hands out of the shoulders if you're in interlaced fingers. And then when you're ready, we're going to exhale and release. Let's meet with the hands towards the ground, giving your head a little shake down. So we're going to move into hamstrings as that other really deep source of kind of rest within the body. Hands to the shins. Let's press the crown forwards. I'm going to hold here a few breaths. So I want you to really feel the stability of the feet today. Press your crown forwards, draw the shoulders back. Keep a little bit of energy across your back, your belly, and then allow breath to move in that space in the torso. So this is a really spacious position for your breath. Your tailbone is going to be drawing back as your crown presses forward, so there's a little opposition there. Your hands might be over the knees with a tiny bend in the knees if this is really tight for you. When you feel like you've kind of arrived in a position that you feel the stretch but without pressure at the knees or within the neck, just turn your eyes face down so your neck is really nice and long. And breathe again, big breath in. And out. Last breath there. Exhale. We're going to drop the torso really nice and heavy. Hang on to each elbow with each hand here in your ragdoll and just shift some tightness away from your shoulders and down, just with a couple of breaths. This time we're moving the breath in through the nose and out of your mouth, as if you're just trying to make a point to someone that you're a bit stressed. So breathing in and more of the release. Take one more. Exhale. Bring your hands to the ground. We're going to sit on the heels for a moment and just lift your chest. So you're finding a nice long spine and your heels are drawing down. You might feel those calves stretch. Shoulders soft and low. As we exhale, we're going to take that fold again, lifting your torso, lifting your tailbone and dropping your torso, sorry. And you should be towards the front of the mat a little bit here. You can always walk the feet forwards. We're going to step your right foot towards the back of the mat, all the way to the back to find lunge, but we're not staying long here. We're just going to sink down into a little bend of the left knee. Feel your right hip, your right psoas stretch. And then inhale, lift out of that and take your hands to the ground, and we're going to just flip your left foot up and underneath us. So this is going to be the first of some slightly longer poses. So we're coming into pigeon, and here we should be into the glute, and you should feel this really nice area around the actual top of the hip bone. There's a few different glute medius, glute minimus, some different stretches to find and feel. So if you need to here, you might be bringing a cushion or a yoga block under your right hip so that you can get yourself feeling equal, particularly if your hips feel quite high here. You might take a bit of security through a prop. And shift your right knee back a little bit. Inhale here And exhale, just find your way down to the forearms and just drop the head. So deciding whether you're feeling that in a nice tender kind of way, what kind of sensation is going on through the glute and through the right hip. If that's feeling a little too sharp or the alignment isn't quite right for you here, we're going to take a 1/4-2 position through the legs. So you're going to roll off to your left side and bring your right knee pointing out to your side. So you have one knee facing forwards and one knee facing directly out to the side. And we're just going to lean here. And this way we can control how deep we feel this glute stretch on the left. So if you're here at the forearms and you feel that you could, you might take this a little bit further, reach the hands all the way out. And if you're not using your cushion or your prop for your left hip, you might even bring your cushion or prop just underneath the forehead, leaving space for your nose. So when you've got really comfy, let yourself fully arrive in the body. And I want you to feel where the sensation is for you. Some people feel it most across the right side of the belly, the right hip, the leg that is extending back. And then there's a really, of course, a deep stretch in that glute on the left as well. You might feel that the shoulders are nice and spread apart here as your hands reach out to the sides. Or if you're at the forearms, you might mostly enjoy just dropping the head forwards. So I'd like you to close the eyes. We're going to spend another 6 breaths here. I want you to fill the breath up to the very, very top. And then almost as if you could see a little guitar string resonating, exhale your breath to that sensation. So send your breath to the hip, send your breath to the space that is relaxing around the neck and shoulders. And just feel if you can imagine that stretch resonate with your breath. Take 3 more deep breaths here, eyes closed, getting into your own zone. Inhale, start to bring yourself up. We're just going to take your right foot to tuck under, energize your hands and lift your whole body weight off the ground to step into a down dog. So your feet find your hips distance and we're going to run out the heels gently to just energize the legs again, draw up the head nice and heavy between the arms. You take a big step, your feet to the front of the mat, or a few little steps if you're more in a kind of cozy, sort of scurrying mood. As we exhale, we're going to fold again, drop the head. Inhale, lift your left foot to step it to the back of the mat. It can be one big step or a few little hops. Fingertips are just going to frame your front foot. As we inhale, we're just drawing a little bit of space back into that left hip and across the belly. Bending that right knee. It doesn't have to be a big movement. Then whenever you're ready, we're going to plant the hands down either side of your right foot. Put energy through the arms to flick your right shin underneath you. So we're going to find our way to our pigeon pose. Your left knee is scuttling back slightly. Hips equal as possible here. You might be setting up a prop. Cushions are nice because they're cozy and soft, but a block can really give you some stability as well, or a book. So as we inhale here, we're just going to find that alignment for the hips. Notice the stretch on the right side, those glute muscles, all those different angles around the top of the hip. As we inhale, we're going to lift the belly skin and exhale, draping down. You can come to the forearms, stop there and just notice if this is feeling okay for you. And because pigeon is quite deep and sometimes we don't even notice it if it's part of a dynamic sequence, it's really nice to notice where you're at with that stretch on each side. Maybe you're moving back from there to come into that slightly different variation, rolling off to the right, gently pulling your left knee forward. So we've got a bit of a quarter two position through the knees. And measuring how far you lean, chest across that right thigh. You might be coming further than the forearms, all the way out to the arms, forehead to the mat, or forehead to a book or a cushion, with space for the nose to breathe. And then again, because we're in a private space between the arms or our head is just drawing down, just notice where the sensation is for you. If you're a person who looks up a lot for a job or somebody who has neck issues, that just a little bit of a neck release might be the nicest part to notice for you. We're gently drawing back the hips here to kind of elongate that glute area, elongate the spine. And just notice again that left hip stretch as well, moving back into the left thigh. So we're going to take another 4 or 5 breaths here, equaling out this side. If you haven't already, we're closing the eyes wherever you are in that pigeon. And imagining our breath as a movement as we hold still. So we're as still as possible, but our breath is almost this ripple on the water, allowing us to feel a little bit deeper into those sensations. And that's why these restorative sessions can be quite a revelation sometimes, even if you're a person who likes to push and sweat. These more subtle sensations come later, after a longer hop. When you're ready, rise your chest. We're putting pressure into the hands again to tap your left toes, lift your whole body weight through the arms and step back to find down dog, and a little rinse of the feet, pedaling out and equalizing. When you're ready, with your hands at your shoulder distance with the head falling between the arms, just bring your feet into the line of the hips as they were before, and we're just going to rise up on the tiptoes, stretch your toes. And then exhale, imagine someone's lifting your tailbone and your bum as your heels slowly try to find the ground. So you've got opposition through the legs for another big breath. Exhale, start to bring your knees to bend and gently come down to the ground. So we're going to untuck the toes and sit back on your shins. So this is the one that I mentioned at the start, can be a really deep pressure point within the feet, and some people don't find it that comfortable. If you want to hang out here in child's pose, feel free, we won't be here too long. So sitting on the shins, we're just going to widen the knees slightly, and we're going to take the pressure point along the inside of your left foot into the gallbladder, sometimes quite tender in a nice way for people. So we're going to take your right top of the foot into that left arch of the foot. And I want you to sit back on the feet and feel your weight kind of coming down onto that left arch. If you can, have a little shuffle around and feel where that pressure point is. If it doesn't feel good to you, sometimes it's just a bit tender, come to your child's pose. Hands are on the shins here as we we just lift through the crown, I'm going to just take 3 full breaths. Nice and slow and easy with the breath, and the eyes might close. So we're getting more and more curious about that sensation in that left foot. Inhaling, start to move forwards, and we're just going to switch the feet over. So your right foot is now under your left foot, and we're finding the inner arch of your right foot. As we exhale, we're going to sit back, and you can have a shift around, feel where is most comfortable for the ankles as well as where that tender point is. And we're just going to sit with it if it feels okay for 3 full breaths. So as I mentioned, not recommended for anyone pregnant. So come to child's pose if you need. Your eyes might close as you feel any sensation deepen. Good. Full breath in, we're coming forwards. And just notice any tingling through the feet. I was very happy that alarm stopped. So your hands are underneath your shoulders, your knees are under the hips. We're just going to take a little cat-cow here, nice and soft today. So we're kind of imagining not just arching, your tailbone's not just coming up, your crown of your head's not just coming up, but we're actually extending out and back. And then the same with your arch, there's space. As we bring your shoulders out of the ground, tip your chest and your chin together. Inhale, bringing the heart down and then forwards, tailbone up and back. Exhale, really scoop that tailbone under. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Exhale. Inhale, nice neutral spine, cross the feet underneath you and move back to your bum. So we're going to find our way into the middle of the mat. Take cross legs. And we're just going to lift your left hand, your left fingertips up. Plant your right hand just outside your right hip and find some sideways space. Push into that right hand and lift out of the ground. Exhale, let's come to the other side. Inhale, take that one more time. Over to your right. This time we're turning our nose and our left arm to stretch away from your left hip. So we're finding a diagonal to move into. And breathing again. Full breath in, come back up the way you came down. Open to the side, push off, change over. Big arc overhead. And then exhale, we're going to tip down. Right arm just reaching away from that right hip. Inhale, start to bring that open to the side and push level. Good. So bringing your hands together towards your third eye. Let's just circle the thumbs there at the third eye point. Just get in touch with that area where we actually just crinkle together our concentration, our thoughts, and just set it free a little bit. nice and bundle up your knees towards your chest. So we're going to inhale and exhale here, head tipped down. And just find for a moment that you're just kind of in a bit of a fetal position. You're feeling a bit kind of childlike and self-nurturing. We're going to take one last squeezing breath there, making sure there's space behind you on your mat. And then as we exhale, just unravel from the center, as if you're melting down the center and then every limb as we stretch out to your Shavasana. So palms spread, fingertips wriggle, toes wriggle, and then every muscle relaxes, relaxing the root of the tongue, relaxing the backs of the eyeballs, and feeling your breath moving in and moving out. So in your Shavasana, we're just going to take a few moments of meditation before we release. So I'd like you to breathe in as fully as possible. And wash the breath out through the nose, mouth closed, softly and fully. Imagine space blossoming in the mind, in the heart. Full breath in. And full breath out. We're going to take that breath fully and take it on a little journey around the body, just noticing the soles of the feet, where we use that pressure point, where we spread the toes, any little tingle that we feel after the event of using energy there and then releasing it. You might feel a nice tingle. You might notice the tops of your feet, an area that we don't often think of, relaxing the ankles and the backs of the legs. Feeling the weight of the backs of the thighs and the bum and the tailbone. And really take comfort in that really nice weighty place around the pelvis, just grounding you down at our emotional center. Earthing you softly. Notice the hip bones, that soft wide space. The stretch that we've used today in those hips, maybe we feel that we're a bit more open there, or there's some space for a little shift of energy. And really feel your belly softly rising and falling really nicely, just kind of allowing that tempo, that individual rhythm back in. Feel the sides of your ribs. Feel the weight again at the back of the shoulders. Feel like you might have undone something tight at the back of the heart, so in those shoulder blades and in that kind of little curved space behind the heart. Feel your way to the front of the chest. From those pectoral stretches, maybe there's a bit more broadness, a bit more natural alignment going through the shoulder blades and the collarbones as they lie along the floor. Breathe into the arms, nice and heavy at your sides, releasing the palms. Just feeling those hands, those hard-working hands. Just release all effort, almost curling the fingertips a little. Feel your breath across the tongue, in the throat, melting the jaw, and softening the backs of the eyeballs. the third eye and smoothing space across the forehead. Again, feel the weight of the back of the head and the lightness, the tingling of the crown. Let go of all those observations, almost imagine watching them drain away, leaving you clear and light as we take 3 or 4 breaths in Shavasana. So as we start to let in sound, the environment around us, we keep the eyes closed. Maybe we notice the light in the room, whether it's nighttime and that's artificial, or whether we have natural light coming in. Bring that light, that warm glow, into the third eye point. Take the last couple of breaths in through the nose but out of the mouth, feeling yourself just emptying the tank. Very slowly bring a little movement through the fingers and the toes. Let your knees creep up to come towards your chest for a squeeze. Giving your shins a squeeze back to you, really plant that tailbone into the ground. Tell yourself to ground and earth before we move over to our left. Into a little ball, and then gently up if you can, keeping the eyes closed. Let's find cross legs, just fumbling around to come into those cross legs. Hands gently to the knees. So breathing in and breathing out as fully and as softly as possible. Just rise through the crown and feel your chest, your heart space opening out to the night or day. Let's bring our prayer position towards the chest and just tip your chin towards your chest. Almost a little loop back towards your center, just acknowledging that space. Inhaling to rise your chin, flutter open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're feeling kind of mellow and stretched out in all of those more tightened places. Let that release happen and see if you can continue that softness into the rest of your Monday. Thanks so much, and I'll see you hopefully at class soon or here in my Monday living room. Namaste.